Hello and welcome to the Slingshot channel. Hello. Or today, I should say, underwater episode of the Slingshot channel. Because I'm here with Kevin. I filmed with Kevin before. He's an official dive master. And through his connections, he arranged that we could rent this wonderful swimming hall in the city of Sölde, which I'm really amazed, since I don't know anyone who would let me shoot serious underwater spare guns inside of a beautiful pool. Yeah. But we try to not break anything. So we will try the Scuba Ashinger today. It's a pressurized air-powered double-shot underwater spare gun. And we will test it against various objects like gelatin blocks, but also wooden targets. We want to find out what the maximum distance is. And we want to compare different projectiles like training arrows, over water use. To find out if this is a viable product or not. So stay tuned, and sorry for the miserable audience. That's because the pumps, of course, are running, and there's not much we can do about it. So this is the Scuba Ashinger. As you see, already attached to lots of equipment. In standard, you got the lower Picatinny rail, and I installed a Scuba version of a flashlight to it, so I can just make this, click this on, or I can also activate the laser. So there's a built-in laser, like so. And of course, I can do both simultaneously and switch on the laser too. Yeah, I hope you can see. And here, the upper Picatinny rail, that is optional. You can buy it extra. I can, for example, attach an underwater camera to it, which makes sense if I want to document tests like I do now. The weapon otherwise works pretty much like a double-sided, side-by-side shotgun. So, as you see, there's no ammo in it right now. So, I can actually cock the weapon like this. And then I can select if I want to fire each barrel separately, or like if I put it in the front, both at the same time. Of course, I have a regular safety lever too, so that's not a problem. So these are the cartridges it uses. Those can be pressurized to up to 4,500 psi. And I now have installed the specific burst discs that are suitable for underwater purpose. They're a bit thinner. The training ones are a bit thicker to give it more safety. Underwater, they ignite a little bit less efficiently. The advantage of the above water ones is that you can pressure it up to 5,000 psi, but this has to be limited to 4,500 psi. But it doesn't matter, it's still very, very powerful. And these are the projectiles, little underwater harpoon spares. This is the training one that we used above water. It's carbon, so very much constructed like a crossbow bolt, except that it has no vanes and it needs no vanes because there's no Asher's paradox. Since the barrels are very straight. And there's a standard threading for any kind of tip, so you can use hunting tips, or we offer specific fish tips that are, just developed for spare fishing, basically. So they flap open, so the fish cannot escape. Well, this is the designated the underwater version. This is much heavier. It's a solid aluminum shaft. It also has, like the other one, an O-ring at the end for a tight connection. And it has a very, very heavy steel tip. The weight of this here, total weight, is 60 grams. And this is 16 grams. So 60 grams and 16 grams. That's quite a difference. Now, for above water, we don't recommend using them because the target penetration is absolutely devastating. This is almost unstoppable. It will go through even the thickest archery mats. Whereas this one behaves very much like a crossbow bolt from a very powerful hunting crossbow. Okay, so first thing what we're going to do is we're just going to see how far they reach. So this thing has 25 meters length. We're going to fire both barrels at the same time and then see how far they fly underwater. Typically for a powerful spare gun, that will be anything between 5 and 10 meters for very powerful spare guns.
We are shooting both barrels at the same time. One is the light arrow and one is the heavy underwater arrow. And it is easy to see how different they fly, or should I maybe say how different they swim. Here is a freeze frame, and I can show you, I painted these lines for you. So you can see the red one is the light one, which went very straight but not as far. That is because it is very front heavy. It has a carbon fiber shaft and a steel tip. And the other one, the yellow one, is an aluminum massive shaft and a steel tip. Center of gravity is way, way, way more back. And this means that it won't fly as stable. Very typical for harpoon guns.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do penetration tests. Therefore, we have our penetration target, which consists of beech plywood, high-grade furniture-grade plywood. There is a 6 millimeter board, about a quarter inch, and that is, we say this must be perforated, penetrated, so that we can consider this an effective shot. We'll penetrate through serious fish, of course. And then also, what we were going to do is we have a backstop with a little distance in between the two boards. And the backstop consists of a 12 millimeter and an 8 millimeter board, so 20 millimeters total thickness. I've tested this above water, and this will reliably stop one of these crossbow or spear gun bolts. So even above water, it's safe. Now we're going to shoot at it from a longer distance first, and then reduce the distance to see at what kind of distance this loses efficiency. As I said, 3 to 5 meters is the most distance that spear gun hunters consider effective. So if we can do 5 meters, that would be awesome.
We are shooting from about 8 meters distance, which is more far than recommended for spear fishing. And you can also see that there is like an upwards curve, which is very typical for these very heavy, massive spears. They will deviate, of course. And as you can see, it was flying straight for about 5 meters and then it deviated much, of course. So, I mean, typically spear hunting is done with the tip of the spear almost touching the fish. That's how it's usually done. And this will be very effective here. In terms of the perforation, we're absolutely happy with the result. It easily crashed through the 6 millimeter plywood board. We then reduced the distance to 5 meters, which is the recommended maximum distance. Again, 2 of the heavy underwater arrows. Bang and bang, we hit the target. And as you see, we have good penetration. But on the other hand, we can still see that there is a little bit of an upwards tendency already. I don't really know why this is happening. Maybe it's because of the pump that actually is used to circulate the water in the basin. But the penetration was great. These stick firmly into the backstop as well.
Now we will test the efficiency underwater against gelatin.
So we shot both barrels at the gelatin block, bang and bang. I have to say that one went too low, I didn't aim correctly. The other one went right through the block, as you can see here. And both of these arrows easily penetrated both the front and the rear board. Very impressive penetration. You don't really see much of a canal here just because it's underwater. Above water it's very clear.
So as we have seen, the gel block was completely penetrated by the heavy underwater bolts, and it even lodged itself firmly into the backstop, went through all boards. It's pretty massive. But now we have no more underwater spares, so therefore we are now testing above water spares, but with mean tips. Let's see what that does to the gel block.
Here you can clearly see what those arrows did. They crashed to the board, one tip fell off, looks brutal.
Okay, so now I'm going to shoot above water a little bit just to show you guys that this turns into a completely different weapon above water because air resistance is so much lower than water resistance, and therefore the killing range of this thing above water is tremendous. Therefore, I'm really warning you, if you practice with this thing above water, be really careful. Basically treat it like a firearm.
We shot at the thick side and the arrows penetrated and the tips broke off. Wow. So let's do this test again with the heavy underwater spears, 60 grams. From this distance, crashed to the 20 mm and bent.
Also Kevin, was würdest du sagen?
Ja, ich bin wirklich beeindruckt von der Harpune. Ich hätte nicht damit gerechnet, dass da so viel Kraft hinter steckt. Wirklich beeindruckend ist halt.
Die Power ist wirklich immens. Also damit kann man sich wirklich gut unter Wasser bewaffnen. Selbst gegen große Haifische, glaube ich, ist das noch wirksam. Und ich glaube vor allen Dingen, es ist halt viel kleiner als die bisherigen Produkte auf dem Markt. Und trotzdem hat man 2 Schuss statt nur 1 Schuss. Und außerdem hat man die mindestens die gleiche Zielwirkung wie eine ganz lange gummibetriebene oder Druck. Das ist gar nicht mal so teuer. 400 €, das ist eine Zahl. Also, aber nur eben passt auf Überwasser, weil Überwasser ist das Ding absolut heftig. Ich weiß, da kommt wieder die Diskussion, ja, kann man das auch zur Heimverteidigung und Selbstverteidigung nutzen? Also, Leute, macht es nicht. Ich habe letztens auf Facebook geschrieben, also nehmt lieber eine Trillerpfeife, damit kann man zwar keinen Einbrecher stoppen, aber dann hat euch die Nancy noch lieb. In diesem Sinne, vielen Dank, Kevin, für die Gelegenheit. Es hat richtig viel Spaß gemacht.
Ja auch.
Und ich hoffe, wir können das bald mal wiederholen.
Sehr gerne.
Wäre doch schön.
Ja.
Ja, und auch für euch vielen Dank. Ich hoffe, das hat euch gefallen, weil es ist Zeit, Bye-bye zu sagen.
Ciao.
Das machen wir nochmal auf Englisch. So, Kevin, what do you think? Is this a serious spare gun?
Definitely. I'm very impressed about the power of this spare gun. Yeah, it's quite impressive.
Yes, I think it definitely has the performance of one of the super long, really unwieldy single shot products on the market, but you have 2 thoughts and you have way more compact form. Yeah, I really love about it. It's also not so expensive. I think it's still very affordable. And charging is no problem because you can take any Scuba compressor. You find this is every diving school, or Scuba tank, yes. I love the product. I really think it's a bit overkill, but then again, can a gun be too strong? Now, of course, I know that some of you guys will now say, is this also suitable for home defense? Well, you can, of course, abuse it for that, like you can do with any spare gun. Spare guns have been used for home defense quite effectively. But don't forget, this is an absolutely deadly weapon. It's not this. This is super lethal. This has the power of a seriously powerful hunting gun. So be really careful. If you really think you should shoot at a human being, then don't forget that you will probably be prosecuted for this, because this is a deadly weapon. Please treat it with responsibility and only for the purpose that we're selling it for, which is underwater. Anyway, we hope you like this, because that's it for today. Thanks and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.